Hey guys, it's Four Dave here. Today I'm going to take you guys through my top 5 tips to scout out and pick off unsuspecting enemies with our favourite bowman, Sova. As Valorant nears its full release and people are learning more about the game, Sova appears to be becoming stronger every day. His kit blends strong intel gathering abilities in the forms of Owl Drone and Recon Bolt, with his shock bolts an amazingly fun ultimate able to pick off unsuspecting enemies without the enemy even being able to see them. I've come up with 5 helpful tips aimed to help players become more consistent and skilled with Sova throughout their games. So be sure to subscribe, click the notification bell down below, and let's get started. Now let's begin with a lesser known fact about his most used ability, the Recon Bolt. When firing the Recon Bolt, a bar appears that fills up as you hold down the mouse button. This power gauge is also split into multiple segments. Now it's obviously known by everyone that as this bar fills, the bolt will shoot a further distance when you release the mouse button. What most people don't know, however, is that there are actually only 4 discrete power levels that relate to the lines that you see on your gauge. The power of the bolt, and therefore the distance that the bolt will travel, is determined purely by which segment you are in along the power gauge, but not how far through the segment you are. So, for example, if you fire a bolt with the gauge just past the second bar, and then you fire another bolt with the gauge just before the third bar, both of these shots actually have the same power, as they were both shot within the same power segment. This makes coming up with your own Recon Bolt spots far easier, as you don't have to rely on getting an exact right power level every time, as most people still seem to believe. Such an unknown tip, but so useful. My second tip today is going to be following on from the first tip, continuing talking about the Recon Bolt. Building map knowledge, specifically understanding geometry and reflection angles, is key to success with this amazing ability. No other operator utilizes geometry and angles like Sova in Valorant. Now, yes, it's good to learn Recon Bolt lineups from videos online, and I highly recommend having a few essential Recon Bolts in your back pocket. But sometimes you'll end up in a random position in a clutch scenario where that Recon Bolt that you practiced every round won't cut it. A big brain 300 IQ Sova player who has a good guess on where his arrow will land based on the angle he's firing it can either gather essential info or force people from strange angles. This is a hard skill that will only come with time, but will make you an invaluable player for your team with unrivaled knowledge and intel. So get practicing. Time for tip number 3. Going against the grain here, but Owl Drone and Recon Bolt honestly might make Sova the best agent at distracting enemies. Both of these abilities almost always instantly draw enemies to shoot them straight away. In a game like Valorant, a game that's based on seconds if not milliseconds, an enemy aiming their crosshair in the wrong place can likely mean a free kill for you. So fire your Recon Bolt round a corner for intel, and follow up swiftly to catch an enemy off guard while they try to destroy it. Or you could fly that annoying Owl Drone and buzz around enemies to annoy them. They'll turn and shoot it, and now this is time to engage on them. The amount of time this catches people off guard and causes them to make a bad decision makes this a crucial tip for success. Here's a cheesy trick for tip number 4. When you plant the bomb on site, follow up soon after by firing a remaining shock bolt directly in the sky with 2 bounces on it. This will cause the bolt to eventually fall back down onto the bomb that you just planted after a short delay. If you time this well, then the explosion might catch an enemy as they attempt to defuse the bomb. The enemies are essentially forced to wait this out, as the center of the shock bolt will likely kill an enemy swiftly. You can improve this further by adding a second arrow with perhaps only 1 bounce. Double the explosions, double the chance of catching enemies with their pants down. Try out different combinations of bounces and see what timing works best for you. It's a cheesy trick, but it definitely works. My final tip today is going to be a bigger overarching one, and we're going to talk about Sova's ult. Don't whiff this ult. It's so good when you have the correct info before using it. Be sure to follow up swiftly from one of your recon bolts or your owl drone darts. But keep in mind, people aren't going to remain still after being spotted. So when you see an enemy silhouette appear from either a recon bolt or a dart, check the map quickly and see where they're actually positioned. From this, you can make an educated guess on which way they're going to be moving towards after being spotted. This same idea can then be repeated after each successful hit of the ult, since it reveals enemies in a similar way to the recon bolts or darts. Being able to process this info quickly does take practice, but nothing feels worse than completely missing the first ult shot, having just known exactly where the enemy was just a second ago. Even worse, if you don't hit the first shot, then the next two become complete shots in the dark too. I find that one of the most reliable usages of his ult is as a diffuse delay. You can stand in some random point on the map, all safe and cozy, and aim through the wall to the spike. The enemy at this point basically can't do anything other than run away from the spike to find and kill you, at which point you've won the round anyway. There's a lot to be said about this ult. It's super powerful, and it takes Sova to the next level. And there we go guys, hopefully these 5 tips will give you some things to think about moving forward while playing Sova. I think Sova's high skill ceiling is going to push him to become a walking highlight reel over time, so it's time to get ahead of the curve. As I mentioned at the start of the video, make sure to subscribe for more tips and tricks, and like and comment below telling me what your favourite thing about Sova is. It's been 4 or Dave here, and thanks for watching.